The Dodgers are 2 wins away from winning the 2024 World Series, and if you look at the numbers, if you look at history, they have an 80% chance of doing it. So how do they go for the throat in New York and stomp out the Yankees without needing to bring this series back to LA? Today, I welcome former big league reliever, former Dodger Javy Guerra to the show. He's also a former World Series champion. We talk all things Fall Classic, all things bullpen, and more on another edition of the All Dodgers podcast. First, my name is Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the social media machines. Links are in the description below. I'm a longtime baseball writer, sports editor. I talk about the Dodgers a lot here on YouTube, so consider giving this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the Dodgers. Consider giving it a thumbs up if you enjoy anything we talk about today with Javy. Hit that subscribe button if you would not mind. We're trying to get to 8,000 subscribers, and you could be one of those people. It's completely free to subscribe. But anyways, before we welcome Javy, I got to tell you about Bet Online, because baseball fans, basketball fans, this is the spot you want to be. It's that time of year again in the NBA. NBA is back from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. Bet Online has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. If you're a Lakers fan, I know what I'm betting on right now. I'm betting on probably Anthony Davis to get injured at some point. I'm sorry, I don't want to put that into the ethos. Lakers they're looking good. They're looking solid in the JJ Redick era. But we don't care about that right now. We care about the Dodgers, and you could bet on Dodgers if you're into that, because this season, Bet Online has every stat, matchup breakdowns, live odds to bet on during the games. And again, it's not just NBA. You have football. You have MLB playoffs, this World Series. There's NHL, political props, and a whole lot more. Head to the website today. Get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. And now, let's get Javy in here. So joining me today is a former reliever for the Dodgers. He spent parts of 11 seasons as a big league reliever. He's got show experience here for sure. He's also a World Series champion with the 2019 Washington Nationals. We don't need to talk too much about that, of course, as Dodgers fans. We don't need to talk too much about that. He has the 23rd most saves in Los Angeles Dodgers and Dodgers history. So welcome to the show, Javy Guerra. How you doing? First, how you doing, my man? And second, what do you think about this World Series so far?
Oh, thanks for that introduction. That's definitely way more than I deserve. So I appreciate you having me on. As a Dodger, that was my first team. So you root for them. It couldn't be going better. 2-0. I mean, going into Game 3 in New York, I think you feel really good about it.
Yeah, drafted by the Dodgers. Obviously, spent a good amount of time around the organization before, bouncing around like so many people that can throw the ball hard do. So I remember you coming up. Appreciate your time, with the team, of course, and I appreciate the insight you get to share about this. I mean, it's Dodgers-Yankees. What more can you ask for? One, as like a baseball fan, but also like how much did baseball need this?
Oh, you couldn't draw it up any better, right? I mean, if we went into the season and said, who do you want at the end? I think everybody's pleasantly surprised. And given you have both MVPs on both sides, 2 historic franchises, obviously with the Fernando thing, adding a whole other element to it. I mean, as baseball people, you couldn't have asked for a better situation. The games have been very fun to watch. And overall, I think it's a great thing for baseball.
Yeah, you mentioned the Fernando situation just before the series starts. They announce, if it's going to happen, at least it happened. Team president Stan Kasten said this. At least it happened when it happened, so the team can honor him. Players can honor him now, and it's not in the off season. Fernando deserves so much love and adoration from the fans and from this team, and we're seeing it. And hopefully, I'm saying win for 34, bring home number 8 for 34 there. Talking a little bit more about the series, who or what has surprised you the most in watching these two titans show down?
I think one positive, one for negative. I think obviously everyone's talking about Edman. What he's been able to really pull out for him, he's been clutch. I mean, they've really relied on him, and he's done his job. I mean, above and beyond. And I think for the Yankees, for the opposite reason, I think unfortunately for Stanton, he just hasn't shown up, and fortunately for the Dodgers, that's been a big key for them, limiting the traffic on the bases and kind of giving them the better chance to win at the end.
Yeah, Corey said Stanton. You mean Judge? I mean, it's
I
real
mean,
easy. Yeah, it's listen. Stanton has been he's just a monster. But yeah, Judge. I mean, what? Just before we went live here, or before we started recording, I was talking to you about like something I like to do is not try to put so much on the players, but the vitriol that man is getting from the fans, Aaron Judge, it's disappointing, but also it's a target you put on your back for signing that massive deal. It's baseball's hard. I think you could speak to that. Baseball's an incredibly hard sport.
and you're facing some of the best to ever do it. You look at that Dodger bullpen; it's incredible. I mean, the way they
Yeah.
spin the ball is, above and beyond. The way they teach it is above and beyond. So you're watching them really flourish, and you just hope they can keep it up for a couple more games and take it home.
Yeah, before we dive into bullpen, because I do want to touch on the bullpen. Sadly, like the big news right now out of the series is the Shohei Ohtani situation. I mean, technically he's a DH, so technically he doesn't leave yesterday's game. Although there's reports like he was already gone before the final out there. Leaves with that partially dislocated left shoulder. Saturday's game 2. First, the latest update from the Dodgers. Good news. It feels like they avoided the worst. He could or should be in the lineup in Game 3, maybe at the worst Game 4. How does an injury like that and a scene like that at second base affect a ball club that's so focused on the task at hand?
I think because it's at the very end. Hopefully, not too much. I think you see the big prize at the end of the finish line. Overall, because they have a 2-0 lead, if they do need to take them down a game, hopefully not. But you give him the off day and maybe Game 3. Hopefully, if you give him a cortisone or whatever he needs. Hopefully, it's not a torn labrum, man. That's the worst. But if it's just hopefully something they could have just popped back into place, he's sore, and maybe you give him 48 hours to get going. Hopefully, he just gets back out there, because once you see him on the field, it changes the dynamic. Obviously, the lineup is a little deeper, and then ultimately, teams have to respect that, because what if he lays a bunt down, runs it out? There's so many dynamics to his game. He's not just a home run hitter. So let's hope for the best.
Yeah, even if he's not necessarily overly affecting this series, numbers wise, he had the double, he did score the tying run in Game 1. It's still having that presence at the top of the lineup, knowing everybody, knowing Mookie, knowing Freddie, knowing they don't want to face that guy. I might get a better pitch, or Tommy Edman, like you mentioned, towards the bottom of the lineup. He's getting some pitches hit because nobody wants to throw to Shohei frickin' Ohtani. You mentioned the bullpen there. Some of those guys, they call them the dogs down there in the bullpen. If I have a former big leaguer here, big league reliever, I'd be dumb to not tap into your experience in the bullpen. Those guys seem to be having a lot of fun. We saw the what they call it, the used car lot arm waving going on there with the dogs. What can you tell people about life in the bullpen and the bond that these dudes kind of you grow up with each other over those 6 or 7 months you spend together there down in Dodger Stadium, in that little box that they've since renovated when you were last pitching there. But speak to that bond that grows over the course of the season, and then when it gets to a World Series, everybody just trying to. There are no roles. It's everybody. You go out there and you get the guys you're supposed to get.
I think just being a Dodger in general is a different dynamic. I think you realize, first and foremost, you're a family down there. You really do your best to go out and pick each other up. But then you have to add the whole atmosphere of the fans. It's 55 to 58,000 a night. The pressure's every night. Every moment is every other team's biggest game. You really have to get together and really fight for each other. And there's no better feeling than everybody in that bullpen getting along like the way they do from the outside looking in, and just having a good set of group of guys who kind of just keep it fun, keep it loose. And there's no I want the ninth inning, or I want this inning only. It's like everybody's just, put it out when it comes. If it's the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, that's what makes great bullpens. And that's why, to me, their bullpen is the best in baseball, because they're able to just pick it up every night wherever you're asked to throw it through, and that's not easy. That is very tough to really come in, day out, and not know, but they do a great job at it.
Hey, and at this group, they're having to grind this October. It makes sense. The Dodgers enter the postseason essentially with 3 healthy starters, because they got like 2 full rotations on the injured list. Where do you think the tank is at for some of these dudes at this point? Like, for example, we're kind of seeing Blake Treinen at this point labor a little bit. Dave has had to lean on Blake Treinen a lot. The pitching ninja superstar. The dude is absolutely filthy, but you wonder, is he a little gassed at this point? Where do you think that tank is at for some of these dudes?
I think at this point in the season, you find a way. And with him, his stuff is so good. If you just look at his usage, he could attack a little more in the zone and be okay. So for me, it's really limiting the extra pitches for him if I'm talking to him, because I'm saying, look, you can be so good inside the zone. You don't have to go 39 pitches or whatever he did yesterday, because that really kind of limits his usage for 3 and 4. Hopefully not, but ultimately, he's a hard worker. He's going to go out there and take the ball. But coming off injury, I want him to be himself for the next 4 or 5 years if it all works out great. But he's asked to do a lot, and God bless him, because he's going out there and taking the ball and not saying anything. He's doing his job.
Yeah, you mentioned that the injury, the dude, he missed the better part of 2 full seasons. This is his first full season back, and I think sometimes people might not really fully appreciate what you're seeing out there. The frisbee slider, it's still pumping 94, 95 with ridiculous 2-seam movement. Like his shoulder was just torn apart, had to get the surgery, and I think it was early 23, and to now see him out there, throwing 40 pitches, the day after throwing, I think it was 15, 20, whatever it was in game 1. Like, if we're looking like early MVPs, that man is a kind of sleeper MVP for this team so far. One guy we haven't seen in out of the bullpen, guy very well, Danny Hudson. You know him from, of course, that 2019 World Series. Got the final out with you guys and the Nats. Unfortunately, we'll talk about that a little bit. But what I wanted to get this, because I've met him a little bit, and he seems like just a great dude. What can you tell me about Huddy as a player and as a teammate?
Huddy is one of those guys, man. He's got such good stuff. Like, he's very underrated, very underutilized, and that year in 19, we both started in Toronto just as non-roster guys that came over, and we, made the team, and then we break, and then we both end up in with the Nats, and we win the whole thing. But just watching him prepare, he goes through a lot of, physical treatment and going out there and grinding every day and doing everything he needs to do. And then on top of that, he's just a great teammate. Everybody roots for everybody. He's one of the biggest advocates for everyone down there doing well. And when you got a guy with that kind of pedigree and that kind of usage and that kind of knowledge of playing long enough, it's going to go a long way with the younger guys, because it's going to say, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. If he's doing it, I better be doing it. And it's a small domino effect that at the end of the year, you're going to see really pay out. And I think you don't see it, but I think a lot of those young guys that probably came up and maybe, helped and had impact, he probably had a little bit to do with that, because he was able to make them aware and help them along the way.
Yeah, I mean, you look at somebody too, like Daniel Hudson, man. That is a career. If you're looking to pick somebody's brain about something, if you're a Dodger, you probably go to Kershaw for some starting advice. You can go to Dan Hudson about literally everything. He was a starter, back-to-back Tommy Johns, pitching through injury, relieving, saving a World Series Game 7. My dude has done everything, and to see him where he's at, like right now, pitching on maybe a knee and a quarter, maybe just one full knee. It's impressive, and I hope he factors back into this series as it shifts to New York. But talked about it a little bit there at the top, man. Dodgers 2-0 as we move to New York, hostile territory. Like I said, we don't. Ideally, as a Dodger fan, I don't want to talk too much about that 2019 Nationals team, because that NLDS still is a tender subject for many a fan. That was a very fun team, but congrats to you. You got a ring out of it. I remember seeing your post on IG celebrating. That was cool to see, as somebody who watched you come up and appreciated your career from afar than in your time in LA. But you have experience we can lean on in this point, because those Nats were also up 2-0 before the Astros. Boo. Yes, I understand, everybody. Before the Astros take the next 3 at I don't know if it was, I think it was Nationals Park then at the time. What was that like? You're riding on top of the world. You're up 2-0 in a series, and then you lose the next 3. Like, what's that like, and how can the Dodgers avoid that in this 2-3-2 series shift?
For us, it just happened so quickly. Like, I think we were riding on that high, and we came home, and we just kind of, I don't think we got complacent, but I think we were just going so good, we just assumed it was going to keep going, and then just things went the wrong way just out of nowhere. And again, we were able to correct course, but I think for the Dodgers, what their biggest thing is, Buehler's going to be able to go out there. I liked his last start, and I think he could really be the deciding factor of tipping the scale. If he goes out there and has the game he can, which is, I'm not asking for 7-0, I'm just saying, a solid 5-6 and give up maybe two in Yankee Stadium, I can't see them not pulling that game out. And if you can tip the scale one way or the other, hopefully you save the bullpen. And then now you're riding in game 4 or 5, maybe 6 if needed, back in LA. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a really advantageous spot if you're the Dodgers. You got upwards of 5 opportunities to win 2 games. You feel really good. Bullpen game on, I think it should be game 4. So I agree with that assessment of Buehler. You love where he's at. You love the grind. You love that. It switched to October, and he's like, I don't give a crap about what happened in the regular season. This is where it matters. And again, Dodgers in a really, really good spot. But still, I wanted to put it out there for people. Don't lose your shit. Don't lose the panic. It happens. Dodgers have what they said. I think the team that won the first 2 games has an 80% chance of going on to win the World Series. We'll hold on to that, but still, the Yankees are a very, very good ball club, and they've gotten punched in the face a few times. They are hungry. What are your predictions for the rest of the series?
Really, just they should probably try to stay away from Soto. Really force Judge to turn it on. Because he doesn't run, and ultimately just keep running in front of their face. I think really that's what the Dodgers have done really well. The little things. I don't think get talked like the other day when Key got the bunt down. I don't think we scored the run on it, but. No. Just the little things. Ultimately, that will add up. You do the right things. I think game 1, and when Soto misplayed the ball in the corner and the ball off the wall, that was the deciding factor. I mean, then they misplayed at second. He goes to third. Shohei goes to third. And, those little things people don't think about. And that's what the Dodgers do really well. They go over the small things and just keep hammering away the small things. Get one out at a time. Don't give them extra bases. Don't swing outside the zone. That's what they've been so good at, and over the years, what's made them so great. You don't see the names always. You see the first 4 or 5 guys in line, you're like, oh, Hall of Famers. But the back end guys are really just key because they allow those guys to keep cycling through because they do the same things. Maybe just not at at those caliber levels, but they're doing really good work with everything they're doing in that organization.
Yeah. I mean, you speak highly of the Dodgers, and you were there towards the tail end of the McCourt era, where maybe he wasn't as interested in investing into the training, development, all that kind of stuff. Hey, that's another whole story. I could pick your brain for hours about McCourt and coming up, and hopefully one of these days, man, if you're down to come back on in the off season, and we'll talk some more baseball and all that kind of stuff. But Javy, I appreciate the time. Early happy birthday, by the way. We're both 1985 boys, so I just turned 39 about a week ago. So I'll tell you, it's all downhill from here.
That's how we're going into coaching. I hear you.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, appreciate the time, Javy. Hopefully you see you again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks again to Javy Guerra for joining the show. Awesome dude. Hopefully we have him back on at some point to talk more Dodger baseball. I just want to talk about pitching with the guy. You guys know, watch me. I love talking pitching, but I want to hear from you guys. Sound off in the comments. What do you think about the series? What do you think about the Dodgers' chances of going on to win it? Will they sweep in New York? Will this series come back to LA for a game 6? I want to know people's thoughts. Sound off in the comments below. I'll be responding to people as I can over the next couple of days. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to push the button here. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed anything you heard. I'd subscribe to your channel if you asked me to. Probably, maybe. If you're giving me what I want, we're giving you here what you guys want, which is Dodger Talk. I want to thank the channel Patreon supporters and the YouTube member supporters for helping support the channel. It's $5 a month if you want to join Patreon or join YouTube members. With that, you get access to our Discord server as well, where we're talking all through the games. We're talking, Dodger baseball all day long, really, a lot of the time. It's a really, really good growing community, and it's less than the price of a Dodger dog. Much, 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 much less of a price to even park at Dodger Stadium during the World Series. So links are in the description or somewhere around my head. There's a join button here on YouTube if you happen to be watching. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. My name is Clint. Find me as Real FRG on all the things. Links are in the description as well, and I'll see you on the other side.